well?
We do.
All right. Given that that is the case, I will call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Is there anything that needs to be added to the agenda before we officially adopt it? All right. Is there any objection to adopting the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. We have no old business, so we can go directly to our new business. Mr. Allen has requested that we discuss the election results and future options so that we can, I guess, plan for our future, think through what the possibilities are. Mr. Allen, I will let you take it away unless you want me to give a little bit more of an intro.
I can take it from there. It's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about what happened and get everyone thinking about what to do going forward. According to a resolution to establish goals for the 2024 to 2025 session that we adopted back in March, we had a goal to obtain 100,000 votes in the November election. According to the results certified on November 22nd, we obtained 20,684 votes. There's been some chatter around a recount, but I haven't seen anything solid come out of that. So I think at this point, we're safe in assuming that the certified result is the final result. That's unfortunate, but not unexpected. We knew it was an aspirational goal when he set it, with which only Gary Johnson had achieved back in 2016. I would like to thank Mr. Mosley for his hard work with Bedrock Ballot Access and the Crescendo Project, as well as everyone else who donated their time, money, or both to this effort. I do think there are some things we can do going forward. From what I saw, there are a couple policy manual improvements that XCOM could make for future elections. The first is with 3.2.4 regarding interfacing between the state party and individual campaigns. Currently, that's the responsibility of the Candidate Support Committee in general. I'd like to get the political director's input for an actual proposal, but I think it would be beneficial if specific individuals were designated for each campaign, so there's an actual person responsible for relaying information between the campaign and party operations, and then vice versa. The second is something that I brought up earlier this year, namely 9.2.1, regarding services the party offers to support candidates. Right now, it simply says TBD, as in to be determined. I think we need to actually determine it so everyone can be on the same page about what's expected. I think that would be helpful. And beyond that, because of House Bill 1312, which I personally think is constitutionally dubious, in 2025, there are statewide special elections for Public Service Commission Districts 2 and 3, with special primaries on June 17th and qualifying in the first week of April, if I've done my counting right. The good news is our ballot access status shouldn't matter since they're special elections. The bad news is I also don't think they count towards ballot access since they're special elections. And then that brings us to 2026, which is where we actually need to make some decisions. There are three basic options that I can think of, though they aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Option one, we can just proceed as usual and try to qualify a statewide candidate in 2026 the way that we normally do. Then if they get rejected, we can consider legal action. I'm pessimistic about the courts doing us any favors, but it is an option. Option two, we can pull back from the statewide races and refocus on local races, rebuilding the party from the ground up to be in a better position for statewide races in the future. And then there's option three, we run a serious statewide campaign in 2026 where we collect signatures. If we go this route, I'd like to see a candidate with a team assembled and a plan prepared well in advance of the 2026 convention. Which race would ultimately be dependent on the candidate, but I think the obvious target would be the PSC District 5 race. The last election for that position was in 2018 with 6,428,581 registered voters. Take 1% of that, add in the safety factor of 2, round to nearest 1,000, and you're looking at 129,000 signatures. If you do the same calculation for governor, lieutenant governor, and the rest, you're looking at 139,000 signatures. And then if you're going for the full slate, you're looking at 144,000 signatures based on this year's general election result. What I really want to avoid is have someone decide to run without fully appreciating how difficult this would be and being unprepared for it. That would cause a lot of internal friction and problems that we shouldn't subject ourselves to. Ultimately, the decision isn't ours to make. It's a decision for future convention bodies and XCOMs, but people need to be thinking about it sooner rather than later. That's a little talk there. I saw some hands go up. I don't know who raised their hands first.
We'll go to Mr. Craig first.
Hey guys, something else to kind of think about. So say we go to petition for statewide, understand, because we can do multiple candidates, right? When I walk up to the door, I can ask them to sign for the PSC and a governor's race, or the PSC and a state house race, a local race. So just something to think about. In the past, we've done some dual petitioning at the same time, and we might as well get petitions signed for more than just one candidate we're at a door. So I think in 26, we probably do need to be trying to get back on the ballot, but let's we may want to think about having 1 or 2 or 3 candidate petitions in our hand when we're going door to door, and that was kind of it. It just something we should be thinking about instead of just thinking of just one candidate. Thinking about petitioning for multiple candidates, as long as they're in the same area.
Yeah, we can do multiple. I was just talking about the one to kind of focus on more, like the easiest one to get, if that makes sense.
It does.
Then I saw Mark's hand go up.
Mr. Mosley, go ahead.
Yeah, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to just add a bit to what Brian said about the statewide race. Actually, any race that's going to require petitions, your candidate really needs to be ready to go by mid-January, and ready to go means you are ready to start petitioning about mid-January. The petitioning season goes for 6 months. It starts sometime around January the 15th. The Secretary of State will announce the start date of that. So anybody who's intending to be a candidate for any petitioning office, but especially statewide offices, need to be ready to go on January the 15th, regardless of when the convention is. The other point I wanted to make, this is kind of an addition to what Doug said about carrying multi-petitions. Yes, we can do that. And also, just so you know, for statewide races, it is fruitful to do petitioning in public places like a Kroger or a Lowe's or Home Depot. You wouldn't want to do that for most districted races. Door-to-door is better for those. But for the statewide races, a public petitioning is going to generate petitions much faster than door-to-door. And for statewide races, the validity rate in a Kroger or something is going to be pretty high. I can speak from experience, but I won't get into the story on that for the sake of time. And I think that's all. I would say this. I would say that our strategy for 2026 is largely going to be determined. I suggest that all of you be open to this, by who's willing to be a candidate and for what office. Okay, because finding good candidates is the difficult part of this. And for 2026, we don't want to do what we've done in the past and go and start recruiting candidates the day of the convention. that's going to be a very bad idea in 2026. So I will let that rest, and thank you for your time.
Ms. Austin?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to point out, just a point of information, the number of candidates really isn't so much up to us, kind of as Mark was alluding to there. What we can control is where we put our resources. So I think we should talk in terms of not how many candidates choose to run, because some of the people I'm talking to are going to just kind of do their own thing regardless of what we do. But we can try to funnel resources in a specific direction. And even that, of course, we can't control, because obviously people can volunteer for whatever races they want to. But we might want to have some sort of policy that kind of directs how the state party wants to allocate those resources. I think would be more of an accurate way of talking about it. That was it.
Thank you. Mr. Allen?
Yeah, what I was trying to get at is, what I'm trying to avoid is having someone like run for nomination, get the nomination, not be prepared for petitioning, and then expect us to put resources into petitioning for them, and then we don't follow through. I think we can all agree that's a situation to avoid.
I think that's fair.
Well, to that point, I don't think anybody should expect that we're going to do the petitioning for them. Any candidate should maybe hope that they have help, but I don't think there's any reasonable expectation that the Libertarian Party of Georgia is going to do the petitioning.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think, and this is something that we should be stressing from our ranks as well, that if you are trying to run, like, yeah, we do want candidates and we do want people to go for smaller races to, get their chops or whatever it is. But to be a candidate, to be a real candidate, you kind of have to have a team around you already, whether that's your affiliate, whether that's your family, whether that's, your group of 4 scrappy young individuals who are around you. But you really need a team that's working with you. You really need to be able to raise funds. You really need to have money in the bank already, ready to go for that position. And if you don't have that, you're not really ready. And we can run those candidates. We can, we can give them as much help as we can, but we're lean as well, right? And I think we all know that. So the things to stress with candidates are: get a team, get money, if you don't have some kind of credibility somewhere in some organization, and people who will get behind you and say, yeah, I'll invite you to my Rotary Club, I'll invite you to my knitting club, whatever it is. If you don't have that, then you're not the candidate we need. You're not the candidate we're necessarily looking for, even if we can help you. So, yeah, and that's what Mr. Mosley is saying in the chat, that people with no experience, no understanding of what campaigns are like and what especially a Libertarian Party campaign is like. There aren't the resources that the other parties have. So we have to really stress that this is our candidate's role, is to be a good face, be a good spokesperson, be able to raise funds, and be able to get to the point where they can maybe not win, but at least get a decent vote total and get people behind them rallied, because they want to see this person become something. Any other discussions, thoughts? Cool. Well, Mr. Allen, I appreciate you bringing that forward. I know it's super important for us, and we're going to be constantly having to think through what our plans are going to be and how we're going to move forward and be agile as we see what actually happens with the state and these court cases as they continue to go forward. Well, guys, it looks like it's going to be a pretty short meeting. As far as a chair's report, I'll kind of do a little bit of what Elizabeth does and kind of take a little bit of that. The 23rd of November, we had a range day, had about 10 people there, and I think 6 or 7 of them were new faces. So that was really exciting. It's a good opportunity for us to get in touch with those people and start trying to build those relationships so that those people can come back for other things and ultimately become members and become contributing members, not just financially, but volunteer-wise as well. The other piece of that, we have, I'm watching y'all's chats in the chat bubbles. The 2024 Joint Fundraising Committee has raised $5,000 for the Libertarian Party of Georgia so far. So we will want to start talking about the allocation of those funds. And there's a preliminary report out there from the treasurer as well regarding that. So we're at about 5,000 for now. I expect a jump in January because these are done bi-weekly. So we're seeing people still giving to this campaign, even though it's kind of winding down. I think January we'll see some max donations come in again, and those will be allocated to us as well. So all the people that we missed on the front end will probably do the same again. And yeah, so those are some of the big high points lately. We had a recent affiliate support committee meeting, which I hear went very well. So that's always exciting. And I believe we're coming close on membership numbers as far as the phone calls that we've made. I'll have to reach back out to Gretchen. I can pull up the goal tracking for Mr. Graham, who requested that, even though he is not on the executive committee. We will honor that request if I can find it. All right, y'all give me just a minute. Okay, I can share. Okay. So as of the last time I checked, which has been a while, I haven't been tracking this super closely, but we've been on track with a lot of these goals for the majority of the year. And these guys are, I think this is already done. So I've got to come back in here. The ones that were on track a few months ago on Elizabeth's plate were basically completed. So the big issues, and I'll have to change this drop down here, but obtain 100,000 votes for the LP candidate in the November election. Obviously, that's not going to be one that we achieve. But we said from the get-go that that was an aspirational goal. We did want to have that on our radar, and we did the rest of our goals, things that we could control, things that we could do as far as our own efforts, which I think is the important part of setting goals, is what can I control? What can I do to make these things happen? So vote total is a little bit less of an actual goal to achieve, and it's a vision, I would say, more than a goal. The membership portal, we do not currently have a membership portal, so that one is going to be at risk. It's probably not going to happen, but I have been in talks with the national party. They do have some options for CRM. Zoho is on the table, but it's going to cost money, as will CiviCRM for us. So that's another conversation we'll want to have soon. The calling 250 members of LP National who are not state members, that is on track. We're still digging through some of the data, but the calls are being made. CiviCRM trainings, that one is also delayed. We currently do not have an IT director, so we will, obviously we have our note here, Civi is broken, we're possibly pivoting to a new system. So we haven't onboarded anyone new, but we have figured out some new stuff as of today for that Civi piece, for editing access and some other state admin roles in there. I see a hand. Do we want to just go ahead?
You can keep going. I was just wanted to comment when you're done.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if it ever comes to the CRM and you guys want to look at Zoho, I do have some experience with that. I have experience with lots of CRMs, so I will be happy to help and answer any questions at that point in time that you guys might have.
Okay, I appreciate that. That is super helpful. Currently, the cost is $37 per user, which is, I'm not going to say it's cheap, but I'm not going to say it's super expensive either. But 37 times 12 is $444 per user. And, you know, even just your officers having it is $1,700, $1,800 a year. So it is it's a consideration, but it would definitely reduce the visibility and access across the board if we were to do it, because we obviously couldn't. We just wouldn't be able to do it with all of the executive committee and all of the affiliate leaders having access to it. So that could put a damper on things. There could be workarounds, data pulls, things like that. But that's where that stands currently, which is a little bit less than I had hoped for. But, you know, sometimes if you're willing to pay for nice things, yeah, things can be nicer than they are. Okay, standard campaign websites and materials, creating and updating a candidate manual. We show those as at risk. I can let Ms. Austin speak to that. We do have a standard campaign website from National that only costs $100 for any candidate who wants it. So we might have pivoted on that. And the candidate manual, we do have some candidate manuals already done. The current process, the current thing we need to do is just update them, combine them, put them together so that we can have one source of truth and kind of our updated manual. Ongoing candidate trainings has been the same thing, on track with that, given the people who have reached out. Most people reach out, say, I'd like to do it, and then think that they're going to start campaigning or building out their campaign infrastructure as soon as they qualify or something like that. But I think it goes back to our point that candidates need to be aware of how complicated and how hard it can be beforehand so that they're prepared and can do well, realizing that a campaign is not just deciding one day that you want to be a candidate and then signing some paperwork and you get 50,000 votes. It's just not how it works. Ms. Austin, did you want to speak to that?
I'm happy to.
Okay.
Which point did you want me to speak to?
Anything you want to talk about and anything that needs to be updated?
As far as the candidate, campaign manual, we do have a manual that has a lot of good information and is needing to be edited, but it is there, which means, and it's available enough that it's usable. I just want to go in and kind of rearrange some things and do some edits. So we have functional progress towards that goal. As far as the candidate trainings, there was a training that I had hoped to do in December that we did kind of drop the ball on. The other trainings were not really well attended. So what I've been focusing on is reaching out individually to candidates that are on my list. What I think we need to do is figure out a way to reach individuals who might be interested in those candidate trainings. Maybe do some advertising. We've actually talked about possibly doing some Facebook ads to reach out to people that are not on our list, but that's not going to happen this year unless there's something going on that I don't know about. I think it's been more effective to speak to the candidates individually, and those conversations are ongoing.
Perfect. Cool. Sending 2 emails per month with membership and donation asks. We have been on track with that. We've been sending, obviously, our newsletter each month, and we've been sending our, I don't know about donation asks specifically, so we'll have to follow up on that and come back around to see what that, what we land at with that. I think we can probably do some specific donation asks as we get closer to end of year and coming into the new year as well. And then ad hoc emails, same kind of thing. As anyone has requests, you can send them to Mr. Varnell or to, I believe it's communications@lpgeorgia.com or operations@lpgeorgia.com. The 12 press releases, I think we're a little bit behind on that. I know we've sent several for things that we have done, but I don't know that 12 is the number we're at. Mr. Allen, you have spoken to a legislature report card. I know you said you were getting close and you are on track for that, but I don't know much more further than that.
Yeah, I was going to talk about it in my report, but
okay. Then I will.
Well, I mean, I can just say that now. Like we are getting really close to having the actual ratings done. Hopefully, that should be done like in a couple of weeks, maybe, and then be able to put together the actual visual report that we can put out, and then that should be done.
Love it. And then the model legislation is basically on track. It's already done, right?
Yeah, we have model legislation ready to go. It's just getting in front of legislators. The next legislative session actually starts on the same day as our next meeting.
Nice. Perfect. And then the legislation and monthly reports, we obviously know that Mr. Allen has been doing fantastic work on that. So lots of green, some yellow, and a little bit of red. Any questions, thoughts? All right, cool. I will conclude my chair's report and pass it on to Mr. Allen, even though I've stolen some of his thunder.
It's fine. As far as vice chair stuff goes, the only thing I have to report there is that we designated monitors for the risk lending audit that happened last month. And I did get a text from the husband of our executive director saying that she is sick in bed, so that's why she is not here tonight. And then for policy, we did complete our 2025 legislative agenda and sent that out to the membership. I encourage everyone to check it out. We've got sponsors already set up, ready to go for some of our legislation.
That's what I like to hear. And I think the more times that we put legislation forward, the better chances we have at it gaining traction. And with some planning and some thoughts, we might even be able to get this in front of the committee and actually have some good sound bites and things that we can put forward. So I'm really excited for that. Sorry, y'all. I'm really excited for that. I think that's going to be a cool thing for this year. All right. Obviously, Elizabeth is sick. She has been doing really solid work. She got the range day set up. She has been working tirelessly on affiliate support stuff and outreach as well. So we'll look forward to next month's executive director report. Mr. Placey, if you'd like to take your secretary's report.
Thank you. So we did have one e-ballot last month on a resolution to endorse Martin Cowan for appointment as United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. And we had 16 people vote on it, and it passed unanimously. So that's all I have to report. Treasurer Moldenhauer couldn't make it tonight, but he did send some notes I included in Appendix E for the treasurer's report.
Perfect. All right. And I'm going to actually put this on my screen so we can see that. Yeah, and I think his dollars amount, I guess the November amount, the 2870 was one transaction, and then the December transaction was just a couple days ago, and we wired back the funds for that. And he will be posting about the 2025 budgets, and I believe he's put out the tracking as well. So you can look out there on Basecamp for it. Okay. Are there any other, Mr. Barker?
He also say that he was going to be stepping down as treasurer.
Sorry, you're sounding really muffled. I'm not hearing you. I don't know if everyone else is.
Didn't he send out a message saying he was going to step down as treasurer? And do we have someone in line to replace him?
He did say that. We currently do not have anyone in that role just yet, or prepared, that has reached out to say that and to step up for it. So if you have accounting, finance, engineering experience, we do need somebody to step up and be that for us. All right. There are no further questions, concerns, or comments. I will let us go early. All right. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn, if that's what you're doing, Mr. Allen.
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of adjourning? There we go. Sometimes you just got to wait for the hands. All right.